for episode 7. I am here with my good friend Khalid.
How are you doing, everyone?
And we're just gonna go at it as normal. So, is there something you want to talk about first, or you want me to
You can start
read
it
off some of these? Okay. Well, I'm gonna read off some of these stats. Let me get the link, because this is actually really funny. Hopefully, it's right here. So, Larian Studios released some of the stats for how many, just people have died. The first stat goes Gale, which is the wizard you can get as a NPC.
Baldur's Gate, correct?
Yes, Baldur's Gate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he died 333,757 times, giving him a party member kill rate 4 times higher than any other NPC in the game. 5,717 players died trying to tame the owlbear cub that you find in a cave somewhere. I will not give away the location. Then you have 3,753 players that died trying to tame a mind flayer. And then in parentheses beside it, it says, "Why would you try this?" And I'm just like, you're right. Why would they try this?
No.
4,000 people died as a result of the thing with the ogre and the bugbear. That's all it says.
The thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's, spoiler free, so. And then Shadowheart is the only companion who's actually managed to die more than the player character.
Holy crap.
I don't know who Shadowheart is. That might be the cleric, or it could be someone else. Other than that, I've been having a fantastic time with Baldur's Gate.
Oh, yeah.
Playing it is it's relaxing, but at the same time, since it's it's early access, some of the things that happen is like, oh my god, why is this happening?
This seems looks gorgeous.
Yes.
Like the options and even just the costumes themselves for each different class look really, really good. Yeah, it's a phenomenal looking game.
In the beginning, there's a red dragon that swoops in.
Yeah.
And he does like a fire breath. But it looks like it looks like he's throwing up orange Fanta. It's really funny. Like the texture isn't completed yet, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just like, what? Unless it actually is like throwing up some sort of liquid fire, like lava or something.
Magma, if you will.
Magma.
Yeah, because if I follow the lore right, then the astral dragons, or they're red dragons, but they are inhabiting the astral sea and the astral plane.
Yeah.
So they're smaller than their material plane counterparts. Even can come off a little bit more savage versus. And they're mostly to be ridden. Been ridden by like the Githyanki. And that's a whole different. Do you know saying like it's really big? I don't know what they're going to touch on in Baldur's Gate, but the lore behind like the mind flayers and the Gith.
I only know some of it about the mind flayers, but if I would very much enjoy if you continued.
Okay, so So the mind flayers, also called illithids, they came from a different plane. And what they did is they subjugated human beings. They took them and they're using human beings as slaves and also food because mind flayers eat humans. Or they eat any intelligent creature, I should say. So mind flayers used these early human beings, like tens of thousands of years ago, for food, for slavery, but also when they take their spawn and they body horror get behind your eye and burrow into your brain, that entity becomes a mind flayer. So these these groups of mind flayers started doing things such as like experimenting on these humans and trying to breed them into being the best and most loyal creatures. And over just eons, they turned into what the Gith are. So Gith are both, there's just a, basically it's just a group of them. They're just, the race was just the Gith. And so as time went on, of course, just as anything, they start revolting against their masters. So this one Gith, I think her name is actually Gith, she stands up against them, and then just starts a war with the mind flayers. And the factions split between the Gith Yankee, who are really kind, or no, sorry, that's not true, who are really vicious. And then the Gith Sarai, I think is the other group of them. So the ideals are split. Now they're strong at like psychic and psionic abilities. Their brains are hard to be read. They're hard to be mind controlled. They don't look anything like their human counterparts anymore. They're gangly, elf almost like, but they have no noses. The yellowish creatures you see in there.
Yeah.
So they start inhabiting the astral plane. And just because of this insurrection, it drove all the mind flayers out of the realm and into the material plane. So the mind flayers ran away from them, terrified of them. And so that's when the factions finally split into two different groups: chaotic good, I think chaotic evil. But yes, and so they have their own ideals. But yeah, so then that's why then the mind flayers, they went to the Underdark and then they started messing around and fighting against Drow. So Drow and mind flayers despise each other. Because again, they're just doing the same thing. They don't learn from their past mistakes. And so a mind flayer actually, by lore standards, of course, each DM and lore can be different, but you can basically get a mind flayer's tentacles in a tizzy if you imply or kind of introduce a Gith Yankee into their place, because they're just going to get wrecked. Gith Yankee, on the other side of it, have found it, but a irrational hatred for illithids and mind flayers. And there's a good chance if like you and a Gith were fighting each other and a mind flayer steps on the battlefield, then the Gith is like, okay, I'm done with you, and then just charge the mind flayer kind of thing. Like they do not like them. But then astral dragons are just dragons that exist in that realm as well, in the astral sea. Very interesting. A lot of times they're connected to like Spelljammer, which is a setting in D&D. The ship that you see in Baldur's Gate belongs to it, with the weird tendrils and so forth. I know a lot of people want a Spelljammer for 5e. It might happen. It might happen down the line, but yeah, it's very interesting. I know I've hardcore just glanced the surface of that whole lore though. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing, just how the mind flayers exist in society. Big brain, literally big brain concepts.
Yeah, no. I really enjoy like the concept of mind flayers, how they have to, infect other, like they're just a parasite. But they're really intelligent, and once they take over your body, they're really strong creatures.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like they're a little parasite that just wants to live off of you. No, they want to be you. Like, they want to overtake you in all ways.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I remember watching the first trailer for Baldur's Gate, and I was like, oh my god. I'm going to play this game so much.
Yeah, that is a wonderful trailer. Because I don't think it's ever shown the transformation of like humanoid to mind flayer before.
It doesn't, like, in game, it doesn't even show you, because you in the beginning, in the tutorial area, you press a button and it turns one into it, and it just shows your character's reaction to it.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, for that trailer, that went complete like body horror, and again, that's my thing when it comes to like Cronenberg and I don't know, like if those people who like watch the movie like The Fly and whatnot.
Yeah.
Definitely wonderful. Now, this is kind of a twofer, but so Prime Day is going to be doing both a video game promotion and Dungeons and Dragons promotion. Have you seen that? You showed me the D&D one.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's going to be a video game day as well, or Prime Day sort of video day or video game deals.
Yeah, I think it's Prime Day. Prime Day is today and tomorrow.
Awesome.
So
yes,
everyone listening to this live, if you want to get buy 2 D&D books and get the third free, if you're looking into getting into D&D and you want the 3 core books, Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual, now is the time to get it, I would say.
Yeah. Now I have to make sure that one. There is a chance that they don't have it, so you can't get the core. I'm not too sure. I might verify that one. They're doing it for us, the other ones, excluding the core ones, which would be very strange to do.
Did you say that's what they're doing, or do you want me to look at it?
You can look it up and see if that's right. But I think they might exclude the core books, which would be silly. I think it'd be great for them to include it because, again, yeah, it's a great time to just get all 3 and then get started.
Absolutely. I'm looking through the books section on Prime Day right now.
Okay.
Watch them say if you buy 2, you get 1 free, and then it's there's no D&D books.
Boo.
They're actually not in the books section on Prime Day. I am now worried. Prime Day in general is just, I enjoy it. Because it's hard to explain. Sometimes they have really good deals. It's not hard to explain. They have really good deals sometimes, and sometimes it's why would you give me a deal on this? Why would I ever need this?
Yeah, I remember there were some strange things, I don't know, I think maybe 2 years ago? I think maybe, let's see, wow, yeah, Rev. So last time we went to Rev, so that around that time, I think. So what was on Prime Day? Because I was that's when I was searching the most in Amazon for just different stuff for costumes and loadout.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some stuff. Who buys it?
I'm not sure. Get 3 for the price of 2. So it is a thing. And I think it can be on any books. Because it just said, I got an ad for it. It just says get 3 for the price of 2.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't actually show a picture of any of them, any book in particular. I like that.
That's good. Yeah, because there's some. I've need to start using Amazon Prime. I think more, take advantage of the book section.
Yeah.
More ebooks. So what's our next topic?
Okay, so have you seen? Well, okay. Before I'll save that one for like the last segment. They are updating Pacify. It's a horror-esque game on Steam.
Okay.
They are also updating Graveyard Keeper.
Oh.
Which I very much am excited about. And I can read off some of the Graveyard Keeper ones and possibly the Pacify updates.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the games I enjoy. Backseat gaming. I enjoy watching people play Graveyard Keeper.
Yeah. Like the music in that game is pretty nifty.
Oh, absolutely.
So says that this Graveyard Keeper will have a third DLC, Game of Crone. Does it have a second DLC? I thought I only had one. And it's going to come out October 27th, right before Halloween, which is almost perfect. So it adds 6 to 12 hours of extra gameplay. Already a plus. You build your own refugee camp and bring it to prosperity. You get brand new bag mechanics, so I guess your inventory system gets redone. You get access to new dishes, gravestones, fences, and teleportation scrolls. I'm excited about the teleportation scrolls because it takes forever to walk through the Graveyard Keeper world. You get to deal with a vampire terrorizing a peaceful village. Unravel the secret of the mysterious death of your predecessor. I'm also excited to see that. Because you don't learn too much about the Graveyard Keeper before you.
Yeah.
So being able to sort of get a glimpse at it would be cool. You get to find out even more terrible secrets of your old and new friends. And then this is where it sold me. This is where I was like, we're getting this. You get to become an ally of Comrade Donkey and take part in the revolution. The donkey that hates everyone, he's gonna have his own revolution. And I'm just saying, if you don't get this DLC, you're gonna miss out because that just sounds like fun. So that's all that I think is coming through with Graveyard Keeper. Yeah, it only has 2 DLC. Maybe they've confirmed a third one in the future, is what they're saying. So let me go to Pacify. Let me see if I can get the update for that. So, okay, Terrify. Yeah, this one is also not out yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
So, for those of you that don't know, Pacify is it's a game where you have to go into a haunted house and you collect these dolls and you have to burn them or something. It's fun, but also annoying at the same time because the dolls will run around and move. And if you die, you become a doll, but you can get turned back if your friends help you. So I think it adds a new map called The Woods, which instead of a girl and her dolls, it's like a root figure, like a man made of roots and stuff. There's also, this is weird. It's not actually giving update notes. So it just says it's bringing in The Woods, so it's just a new map.
Okay.
But it says they're aiming to get this update out by Halloween. but they're not sure if they can, and it's a free update. So Pacify, I don't believe, was a game that costed that much in the first place.
Yeah.
It was actually surprisingly easy to get Noah to play it. It was me and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Noah's completely and utterly terrified of horror games.
Well, I'm proud of him.
Absolutely. Is there a topic you want to delve into?
Yeah, thinking of video games, have you seen the footage in comparison with so do you know who Paul W.S. Anderson is? The director? So he's the director behind such gems as the Resident Evil franchise, the movies.
Yeah.
So hate it or love it in that aspect. So he's also doing a Monster Hunter movie with his lovely wife and star of those Resident Evil movies, Mila Jovovich. So he sat down with the creators of Monster Hunter and showed like a comparison for the Rathalos and Diablos from his movie and then from the games. And I sit in a really weird place here because he has some of my favorite movies. So he's the director behind a movie called Event Horizon with Lawrence Fishburne. Really good. Like, you've seen that one?
I've heard you talk about it.
So I think it's inspired things like Dead Space and a lot of other things. But so it's a really cool movie. And then the other one is Soldier. It's not Russell Crowe. What's his name? Kurt Russell. So a good movie in itself. So those two movies, like, yay! But then he's also the director of the first Mortal Kombat movie, which is fun for just like mindless, goofy video game fun. But I never really put together just how many video game movies he's actually has directed. But yeah, after the first Resident Evil, which I did like, just all the ones that followed, I'm just not a big fan of. He just kind of goes in a really weird direction with it. So anyways, fast forward, and now he's going to be directing the Monster Hunter movie. And it's kind of that Western sensibility isekai. It's like they end up in a weird world kind of thing versus the people just live there. I think that's a better version of a movie. Many times, especially with adaptations of something unique, they try to give you the fish out of water. I've come from a different world. Let me try to explain this new crazy world kind of thing.
Yeah.
And regardless of how far it goes, it's going to always remind me of the Mario Brothers movie. Really terrible live action Mario Brothers movie. I think better movies, like for instance, Mad Max Fury Road, while it does have that clout of having a history, people still were going in at it not really knowing anything about that world. So things that were happening in Mad Max Fury Road, it was still just questions were being made, and sometimes you can kind of glean what this world is about, and I think that would be probably a better version of a Monster Hunter movie. It's not just somebody's in a world and now you have to explain. It's like, no, this world is what it is, so now let us show you this world. But a lot of times movies, it's really strange. It's interesting, like it seems to be the go-to for a lot of movie making where they have a strange, outlandish concept, but instead of going, we're going to double down on it and then let you explore, a lot of them will introduce you to a character, not that you can relate to, but a character that's almost like a tour guide. Yeah. If that makes sense. And I feel like the tour guide on a rails thing, while it does work for some movies, it just doesn't feel as organic. Like taking Spider-Verse, so Into the Spider-Verse, you're with Miles Morales as he's going through this journey of becoming a Spider-Man. And because of that, you're more endeared to him. Or if you're or Guardians of the Galaxy. So yes, Peter Quill is from Earth and now he has to live amongst extraterrestrials, but at the same time, it feels organic because he's raised around them. So you're kind of going along with the journey versus I avoid so many of those movies. I can't even think of the name of it. But yeah, instead of like everyone just keep on going, you're doing this wrong, or what's this in my hand? Oh, that's something weird. Like Demolition Man, I guess, is a perfect example, where the character has to spend like six hours of their time picking up things, and people going, ha ha ha, that's the bathroom. You know what I mean? and there's gonna be like some really super heavy exposition versus just like, just figure it out. Because it's like I feel like a more organic thing. But yes, but the CG looks phenomenal. So while I probably will catch it on Redbox, if someone who really is into wanting to see in the big theater, then I guess there's that. But yeah, you can see online the comparison.
Yeah. On the Pacify thing, Josh also sent a message in chat saying there's also a new farm level that apparently just wasn't in the update post. So.
Oh, so you're gonna be a scarecrow?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be a scarecrow. Pacify it's a good game, but it's not a game that I can play like constantly.
Yeah.
So, darn, I really need to find my notebook that I had these written in, but now is not the time.
Bush
Would
league.
you?
No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
All right. So, let me ask you this question, because I don't think I've ever asked you this question. What is your all-time favorite video game, and what is the runner-up?
Ooh.
And then explain why one is greater than the other.
Well, that is really all-time favorite video game. Let's see, one game that I will go back to. It's very interesting because one of the games that I constantly go back to, it not necessarily my favorite video game, but it gives me a lot of enjoyment to play it, which is really weird to say. I'll have to say that my all-time favorite video game is going to be Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. And just because of what mechanics they introduce, and while I think Monster Hunter came out before it, and everything started doing like the stamina, maybe it's one or the other. So the idea of like stamina and hunger and so forth would get annoying. Snake Eater did it in a way where you're just like, it's a part of the game and you enjoy it. Snake Eater still on PlayStation 2 looks phenomenal. The music and the sound is phenomenal. I mean, speaking of the music, Snake Eater, it's a great song to play outside of the game. But yeah, just its survival aspect, the having to forage for food, having to pick out bullets or repair yourself through like medicine and medical attention. The story itself, the concepts that still seem to shine through. Like some of the philosophy. I mean, Hideo Kojima does it, and he does it well when it comes to making stories. Just like the existential and metaphysics of it, and then just like the silliness that only his games can do, where you're technically breaking the fourth wall as a gamer to do things. So yeah, like I think Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater will always be like one of my favorite games to play. And I think with runner-up will have to be Pagero, Deception 2. That's like a Tamco game. You take the helm of, so you're this girl that gets kidnapped by these immortals. They teach her through magic how to defend herself, but technically she's just supposed to defend wherever they set her down. So she's kind of an automaton to them. They don't really think her as a personality or as a person, an individual. But as this character, you have to go from stage to stage, and you use energy like arc. It's this energy from souls and so forth to build traps. And these traps are set throughout this floor, or sorry, throughout the whole like room. So set a trap in one room, you have to set a wall, a ceiling, a floor trap, and those can't overlap each other. And then it's just trying to use this concept of energy and balance and trying to fight different enemies that way. Makes it really, really fun. It's fantasy based, so people have like armor, and then you see the influences of actual Dungeons and Dragons. And it's just this thing where she has no other attack except for using these traps. And then even the room itself can cause damage and hazards, and it's just something beautiful about perfectly timing things. So like maybe there's a doorway and there's a stairs. Your regular boulder can only slam the stairs, but when you get like a spike boulder, iron boulder, they actually will roll downstairs. So there's a thing where like someone who's been chasing you around the whole time, and if they hit you, they take a lot of damage off of you, or a lot of hit points. And just when the door opens, you hit the trap at the right time, and you watch this boulder roll into a doorway. But and then like even some traps interact with other traps. So if you have an iron boulder and you set a trap down, then that's like a magnetic wall. Then this iron boulder will actually follow the iron boulder will follow the magnetic field and smash into it. So you get these weird combos. But yeah, those are my two favorite. My two favorites. If there was a third, then I would say Battlefield 3, and that could be a whole tangent and like topic in itself. But yeah,
I'm surprised Fatal Frame was not on there.
So Fatal Frame is one of my favorite games to play, but see, Fatal Frame falls within a seasonal time. Like I like playing Fatal Frame. Actually, oddly enough, not in October. I like playing Fatal Frame around like November, December. And that's just falls into it falls into this time period where growing up we don't celebrate Christmas, but we do a thing called I Love You Day. And so a game called Nightmare Creatures. Have you heard that one?
I have not heard that one.
So Nightmare Creatures, phenomenal game. I wouldn't say that it laid the path for a lot of games like Soulsborne games, but at the same time, there is some reminiscence. If they would remake that game in this new post like Soulsborne world, then I think it'd be a phenomenal game. But it's really gothic horror, and it plays on like squeaking doors and windows, and you hear things in the background. It's really creepy. But so we're usually like around winter time, November, December time frame. It's perfect for like getting cozy and just playing like creepy games. So Fatal Frame basically has just inherited that, because it'd be Fatal Frame or Dead Space, which Dead Space is one of my favorites as well. I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I actually might have to say Dead Space might be better than Metal Gear Solid 3. But yes, but just that concept of just that cold wintry time. But yeah, I do enjoy playing Fatal Frame, but I've played it a bunch. So yeah, I think those would be cheating. Fatal Frame and Dead Space would be, if you go, where are my two favorite horror games. I think that's what I do, is I set those two into my horror game genre, and then all-time games would be those.
So I think my top game probably has to go to one of the Zeldas. I'm pretty sure it has to be Majora's Mask. No, take that back. It's Twilight Princess.
Good one too.
Without a doubt. My favorite one is Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw my cat do a weird run across the room. What would be my runner-up, though? See, I play a lot of games that are multiplayer.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that, it's like, I could just go, what multiplayer game have I played the most?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're going by that, it would be PUBG. I don't even have to look. I just know that none of my other games have gotten up to that level.
Yeah.
I can't quite put Baldur's Gate there yet. I haven't played enough of it. And it's still in early access. So there's still like a lot more to come with that game.
Yeah. What if early access you love it, real game you hate it?
Yeah. That would be terrible. I would be so sad.
See, that's thinking of like games I've played the most, though, is Destroy All Humans too. Love that game. Love playing it. It's one of the only games that I went like hardcore completionist and actually have like everything unlocked for some strange reason. I have no clue why. Other games I'll just play and then to the day I can go, oh, well, I didn't do that mission. Oh, well, but for some strange reason, Destroy All Humans 2 just has me completing everything. But that's a game that I can put in and then just play like hours. Even though like it's not even a new game either. It's literally me just getting it, and then you can just, once you unlocked all the levels, you just go back and just roam for no reason.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think with that one, it's endeared to me because when I first moved to England, I was just stuck in the hotel, didn't have anything to do, didn't have a bike, didn't really know the layout of the base, and it was quite cold. So just played Destroy All Humans 2 and ate sour Jelly Bellies the whole time. But yeah, that one, I don't know, it's something really fun. I think it's just because you can just go mindless destruction on it.
Yeah.
And even, so let's see, I got that one back in 2007. And even playing it, I think last time I played it was probably 2019, maybe. I don't know, maybe I've played it a little bit earlier or later than that, but regardless, there's still stuff that will happen, and I'll just laugh as if it's the first time, just because of the weird devices you have and reacting with like ragdoll physics and so forth, and something random happens and I'm laughing for 30 minutes because it wasn't nothing I expected. And even regardless of playing that game and putting hours into it, there's still like weird things that happen because of just randomizations. Yeah, that one, I don't know. I really wish that has I might need to look up. I think I hit like 24 hours worth of gameplay on it, maybe more. But yeah, Destroy Humans 2. That's why I'm excited, not about the remake of Destroy Humans, but hopefully that will cause a remake of Destroy Humans 2. And then I'll get whatever console, I guess that will come out on. PlayStation 6, maybe.
I played Destroy All Humans like a long time ago because my friend had it. But I figured out what my second favorite game is.
What's that?
I guess the runner-up. It would have to be Rocket League.
Oh, okay.
Even though PUBG has 100 more hours than Rocket League has of playtime.
Because you were doing tournament stuff for Rocket League.
I was attempting to, and then proceeded to get my butt knocked down a peg. But since then, I've gotten way better, I think. And the people I play with, like our coherency as like a team, we can knock people out pretty easily. It just depends on who's going in for the hits. So I feel like if I'm going in, I can do either like set up or hit in the ball, but then I can also be goalie. But I think I'm really good at hitting, like making the shot, and setting up the ball is pretty okay.
Yeah.
But making the shot is, I think, where I shine the most.
No, if they did a weird thing where Rocket League was in real life, would you actually like compete in it?
Yes. But I will say, with Rocket League, I was hesitant to say it was my runner-up because Epic Games bought it out recently, and now it's free to play, which I guess is okay. But they've changed the UI so much, and I hate it. And it
what's different for you?
They made it. I guess they made it more streamlined in a sense, even though they made it look more streamlined. They added the sort of UI that Battlefield would have, kind of.
Okay.
Like that very minimalistic kind of UI.
Yes.
But in doing so, they made it more. I'm not saying it's like overly complicated, but they made it more complicated than what it needed to be. So like you used to, when you were in a lobby, you used to just be able to hit play again, and it would queue you back up for the same game mode and playlist you were in.
Yeah.
But now you have to like go back through the menus and pick out what playlist you're in, and it gets annoying when you have to do it after every game.
Oh no, I understand.
Because when we play, we'll get into a game, and sometimes, not tooting my own horn, but we'll make them rage quit within like the first minute. Or vice versa, maybe we'll rage quit in the first minute. Either way, like, you just have to go through the menu again. But the reason why Twilight Princess is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is way like number one is I think it was the first game that I played only for like the story. It was also my first Wii game.
Yeah.
And so I remember getting stuck in like the Forest Temple and being like, I'm not playing this game again. And then like a month later, I like picked up the controller and I started playing again. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so dumb. Why did I not just... All I had to do was do like this, and this.
Oh, yeah.
And they were telling me to do it.
Those are the like the most frustrating and weird parts. Like, so you can't find a certain like path or prompt or something weird, and you quit the game for a month to a year, and then you come back to it, and then it's just like right there. It's like, what was I on drugs? Like, why did I not do this? The ones that confuse me though is like if there's a hard boss and they're just wrecking you, and then again you stop for forever, and it's almost to the point where it's like when you pick a game back up and you haven't played, you're just like, what was I doing? But it's like you go in, you're prepping yourself like, okay, last time this boss kicked my butt, so I'm gonna go and find some items that I might need, and then when you finally go to fight the boss, like everything is easy. Like you've changed nothing in level. You just have more in your inventory, and you just wipe the floor with the boss. I'm like, what's wrong? Like where was that disconnect? Why am I good now?
One of the things I find myself doing is, say I really enjoy playing like a particular game at the moment, but I know if I like stop for a few days, I'm just not going to pick it back up because that's just how I am. What I'll do is I'll like go around, and if I'm stuck on a particular boss, I will just pick up a crap ton of health potions or, whatever it's called in said game, and I will just tank. I will tank that boss. Like, it doesn't matter if I have to waste all of my character's money, I will just tank it. And it's really funny.
There's a few games where I've done it where get my butt handed to me, and I just go and I just grind super hard to a point where it's just like I forget that I was what I was doing in the first place. And then coming back, and then I'm like, I'm level 50 something, and then the boss and enemies are way lower, and then it's just me just walking through the levels now. Like even playing the remake of Shadow of Colossus for PlayStation 4, which is gorgeous, by the way. I might have to rechange again my list of my top favorite games. But playing the remake of Shadow of Colossus, and I spent 3 hours not seeing a single Colossus. 3 hours, because I was just going around and collecting lizards and fruit. That's all I was doing.
So
you know the reason why, right? For those?
I do not know the reason why.
In Shadow of Colossus, you have a stamina bar, and you have a like a life meter, and so eating the fruit and the lizards, they'll actually increase that. I think the blue tail lizards increase health maybe, and fruit increases stamina. So so every time you eat, it just grows a little bit. Then it also goes up as you get rid of each each Colossus. You'll get a new like boost in it. But like I'm going in the first Colossus, like I've been fighting 4 of them, so I can just hold on for the longest time. But yeah, so I think the last time was like 3 hours of just grinding, just to make sure. Again, they're not even harder because I've played that game to nauseam, so it's not the hardest thing, but yeah, so that's one of the games.
Going back to like Prime Day, I actually found an article listing some really good deals you could get. Apparently, I think earlier today, you could actually get the top of the line Razer keyboard, like the Black Widow Elite. And it's usually $170, but you could get it for $90. So that was really cool. If I had saw that earlier, I would have gotten it. But it must have sold out. A lot of Nintendo games are, instead of $60, $40, you can $40 at Amazon. So you can get like 128 gigabyte micro SD and Switch, like Nintendo Switch subscription for $40. And you can get a 400 gigabyte micro SD, and it's $45. And that also, yeah, that's a pretty good deal. I might actually get one of those.
That is a big boy.
That is a big boy. Because I would like to get a better GoPro for Rev, and if I get a better, like one of the top of the line GoPros, I can actually record 4K, and I would need one that big for 4K, 60 FPS. A lot of like Razer stuff is on sale. You can get a 4 terabyte hard drive for $88. It's normally like $120. But the reason I found that looking for one of my other topics that I had forgotten about, I had to re-look it up. I had forgotten the name. So do you know, or Amazon had its own free-to-play multiplayer shooter that was coming out?
No.
It was named Crucible. You haven't heard of that at all?
Not right offhand. I don't recall it.
Okay.
What company?
Just Amazon.
Like, who's helping publish it, though? Or who's developing it?
Let me see if it says. This article does not say. I would have to look that up later because it's so obscure now. But either way, it was first launched in May after years in development. Then it got put back into closed beta in July. So it came out in May and then went back into closed beta in July. It was very strange. And I don't exactly know who brought it up to me if it wasn't you. Because someone had told me about this game. It could have been Josh, could have been you. But it actually was canceled.
Yeah.
So they just fully canceled it. And I wonder why. Because I think I heard people say it was a pretty fun game. But maybe they just decided they didn't want to get into making games.
Very interesting, though, because I think Amazon stepping their or dipping their toes in games might make for a better kind of competition.
Yeah. Well, they're also making a game called New World, and it's an MMO game, and it's set to launch in spring 2021.
Okay, so I've seen that one. Has a really weird infomercial for a trailer.
I haven't even seen it. This is my first time hearing about it. So, but my thing is that like Amazon is a big company, I wonder, like, I want to know what went wrong with this game to make them just cancel it. Because you have those games like Among Us, the people, they made it. Oh crap, hit the mic. The people made it, and right off the bat, it didn't take off at all, right? But then they waited a few years, and they were actually about to make Among Us 2 or whatever. All of a sudden, everyone on Twitch started streaming it, and it got really big. So big that the servers couldn't even handle it. Which I don't understand why that game has servers, and it's not just like you like a player hosts the game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like how Zombies is or something. Because it's not a hard game to run. It's a 2D game. Either way, I wonder why, like, what went so wrong that they didn't just bite the bullet and, like, keep it released.
So a lot of sources saying that it's because there's an inability to see a sustainable future for making games, which is really weird. I don't know. That's kind of weird. It's a really weird answer. Yeah, because it's very interesting. Like, I'll watch a movie and now it says like Amazon's like studios. I'm like, oh shoot, they're making movies now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's sort of like how Netflix started streaming, and then they started making like Netflix like original shows and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's very interesting to me, because while I love there's a string of EA games that I love, I still feel that EA could do better if there were competition. Don't know why I picked EA. I think it's because for me they're at the bottom of the rung when it comes to like studios, game companies. But just that feeling where yes, you're connecting to the buyers, you know, in a different way. So you're kind of jumping over game stores and game makers and going straight to Amazon, the place where you're supposed to be purchasing said game. So I don't know. It'd be very interesting. It would be kind of, I would like to see what happens if, because they said they're going to offer refunds and everything, but I would love to see what would they do if it does, like you say, take a Among Us turn where people are just like in love with the game and there's just this big influx. Because wasn't it with Among Us, they made the game and talked about the sequel, and then because of just how much money and success, they just decided to put all that into the first game?
Yeah. I think they actually, I'm not sure how true this is. I haven't actually played Among Us in the past week. I've been playing Baldur's Gate, but I read or saw a video uploaded today on YouTube. I can't remember which, but it said that Among Us now has a like private voting system. So you've seen Among Us, so you know how like when people vote someone off, it shows who voted.
Yeah.
You can now turn that off to where no one knows who actually voted for you. Which I kind of like, because they're adding all these options. So when I play, one of the first things I like can tell or deduce is if we all know someone's an imposter and someone doesn't vote for the imposter, they could be the second imposter, so forth. So that's one of those things that if you remove that, it makes it a little bit harder, which I like.
Adds more to the subterfuge.
Yeah. It adds more to the social interactions and what you actually see in game rather than like who people vote for, because some people, like, bless their hearts, they cannot convince anyone of anything. They'll be like, listen guys, I'm not the imposter, I just saw him vent, and everyone's just like, you're the imposter.
Super sus, bro.
Exactly. That's why that meme became big, I think. Not necessarily because the imposters say that to people, but when someone doesn't like explain it well and get their point across that they are not the imposter, they just seem very suspect. So they get voted immediately. Sometimes even reporting a body that you found makes you a suspect.
Yeah.
It's like, well, fine. I won't report a body.
Have you looked into how that guy killed himself in the game? Like how he was murdering himself?
I have not.
Like, that's a really strange glitch, and I love it so much. Yeah, for those who don't know, the video just kind of shows the guy who is the imposter. He kills somebody, he's walking, and all of a sudden, it just shows his character behind his character stabbing him, and then when it comes out, it just shows him dead. And I don't know, he was just by himself standing, and then it just happened. So he was just a ghost.
So apparently, here's a video right here. I'm not gonna play it because I don't know if I'm allowed to show it. But apparently, there was a streamer who won the game but died to himself after winning, so he lost. It's a bug. It's not like a glitch that you can do. It just apparently it happens sometimes.
Yeah, not a glitch as an exploited thing, but a glitch as it's a bug. But,
yeah, which that's actually really funny because in the like screenshot you can see him alive, and it's just him and two like crewmates. And so he wins because they get voted off. Like a crewmate votes off another crewmate. But in that same screen where the dude's falling in the lava, like the crewmate is, he gets stabbed to death. Like and then it shows that he lost, and it's like, what?
I understand that they're frustrating, but I love like when they're funny, like glitches in games. Like I love them. There's I think it was one of the Madden games, probably like Madden 2012 or so forth, but your character, so your player would shrink. So there would be this little tiny like 12-inch man running around the field, and because of that, his hitbox is as small as he is, so people can't tackle this little man. So they're just like jumping and grabbing at nothing, but this little man can hit as hard as a grown adult. So you just run and just tackle these full-grown people. It was one of the best glitches. Of course, they patched it out, but like they should have just made it into a game, some kind of weird game.
So, you know how in Skyrim the giant could like hit you across the map or something?
Yes.
In the beginning, I'm pretty sure that was a bug, like just a glitch, and then the game developers were just like, "Yeah, we're just gonna keep that in because that's funny."
Yeah, it makes sense though. These are giants. Because it's funny. Skyrim is one of the games I love to backseat game as well. And watching Robert play it, and he just walks up to a giant, and he's just like, "Oh, hello, friend," and the giant just flips to face. So I'm like, that's legit, man. If you're talking to a giant, so getting kicked across. Skyward Grim glitch, the undead dragon glitch.
Yeah.
See that one? I love it. Like that's another one I just love. Because it did two different ways. There's one where you can't kill it at all. So you drop this dragon, maybe it gave you a hard time, maybe it didn't, whatever. But you drop the dragon, and then its skin melts off, and then it just comes back to life as this flying skeleton. And it can still attack you, but you can't do anything to it. Wonderful. Like, I know, again, it's frustrating if you're really like hardcore invested in the game, but you gotta love it. You gotta love this not on purpose giant lich dragon.
I remember the main reason I got like an Xbox 360 was because Skyrim came out. I remember going, because Skyrim came out 11/11/11, so I know I got my Xbox 360 on Christmas, and I remember being like, Ma, did you get me Skyrim? She was like, no. And I was like, bro, this is like the night before Christmas. This is Christmas Eve. And so I look at her, I'm like, I have money. Take me to Walmart. And she's like, what? And I'm like, tomorrow when I open Xbox, I will be playing Skyrim. And she's like, well, I got you, like, you're gonna get like the new Modern Warfare and stuff like that. I'm like, Skyrim, Mom. Skyrim.
Oh, jeez.
And so we ended that night going to Walmart and getting Skyrim.
Yeah. Skyrim. Yeah, that one I can watch hours.
It was because I was in like 7th grade when that came out. It was really fun, but at the same time, I was annoyed and terrified to like go. I can't remember where I was heading because I played it since then, but this is just like that vague memory of the beginning. Yeah. Just walking through, and I didn't do the main quests up. I did like Whiterun, and then just like went off on my own, did my own thing, which I guess that's what you're supposed to do, but I just went the unlucky route, and I found a random dragon, and so I hear like whoosh, whoosh. So at the time I was playing on like an old box TV that was literally small enough to fit. It's hard. Okay, so you know the mini fridge you got me, or you got me, but you gave me that. It was small enough to fit inside the mini fridge.
Oh, okay.
So seeing this, not seeing anything, but hearing on like the crappy speakers like what could vaguely sound like wings flapping, and then hearing the music change, and then being like, what's happening? What's happening right now? I have like a stick or something, some like little crappy weapon. I had the axe of Whiterun, but I didn't use it. I was like, no, I use only swords. And I look up, I remember screaming. And that's all I remember of that. That's my vague memory of my first like random dragon encounter. Yep.
All right. The time now is 11:32. So, segment. So, what are you watching, playing, reading, listening to?
Playing Baldur's Gate. Probably about to be playing Graveyard Keeper. Semi want to be playing RimWorld. And that is my playing. On the playing thing, I think it would be interesting for us to stream Baldur's Gate together at some point.
Yeah.
Other than that, reading. Just been reading My Hero Academia. Keeping up with that. The latest chapter wasn't too epic. It was setting up for the next chapter, I think. I'm not going to spoil it. I might spoil it next week. Depends on how excited I am. Debating on going back and reading the Percy Jackson books because I was telling you about them the other day, but I really enjoyed them.
How do you feel about movies with Percy Jackson?
How do I feel about what?
The movies.
Oh, no, I hate them.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was like, they're gonna be so cool, and then I watched them. I was like, you trampled on my dreams.
I'm surprised they're not gonna remake that one. I don't know.
They made, the Lightning Thief. That one was all right. It was okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the most it's gonna get from me. The Sea of Monsters was complete garbage, and I don't even want to hear its like name in movie form come at me because I was so excited.
I think Percy Jackson kind of falls within the Harry Potter problem, where so they needed or wanted a new Harry Potter movie, so they tried with Percy Jackson. That's a perfect example. So I feel like with Harry Potter, it felt like, yes, Harry was becoming a wizard, going to Hogwarts and so forth, but that felt more like an organic world. While the movie version, Percy Jackson, kind of felt just like that situation we were talking about earlier, where it's just kind of like, what's this and what's that and where are these? And people are really heavily kind of giving like this exposition that just doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
And I think that's the winning part of a otherworld movie, is if they can do it when it just feels like what would you talk in a regular conversation versus something that just feels strangely like you're in a movie explaining why the CG creature is this,
It's almost like it's almost better if they just don't acknowledge the creature unless the whole movie is about said creature.
I 100% agree. I think that makes it much, like, for me personally, because of just how much like I love lore. If there's two people talking and then behind them there's something that's moving, and they either acknowledge it because they're hiding from it, or it's weird, or they just don't, then I go, what was that? And I start deep diving into it. When it's just something on screen and kind of getting its moment to shine, and someone's like, oh, that's a cycloptic unicorn centaur. Most of the, and then just goes into like a Wikipedia page of explanation. You're like, who does that though? Like, who in normal conversation does that? Where it's just like, just breaks down exactly. It's like, hey, look, that dog has stripes. Oh, that is a brindle dog, because back in the, it's like,
yeah,
it's brindle. Back in the 1950s, they found out. It's like, okay, that's not more. Yeah, so I think that's for movie to movie. I think Harry Potter did it a lot better when it comes to like, this is a different world. Come join us, which is the reason why I'm always confused about when they do movies. So when WB does like the comic book movies, why they kind of are afraid to go the comic book route, like the extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because before Wonder Woman, even they were afraid of magic. Like, a lot of movies were afraid of magic. That's why, like, even in Thor, granted Marvel, they were just kind of like, oh well, magic and science are one and the same where I'm from. So it's just kind of like, but why just not just say it's magic? It's okay. We will accept if it is good. But yeah, so what about listening and reading? What are you doing on those?
The reading was possibly going back to the Percy Jackson thing.
Okay.
The the listening, I've been listening to other podcasts, such as PKA and stuff like that. Mainly just as I go to sleep now. I like to watch PKA like all the way through, but sometimes I listen to it as a sleep, and then when I really want to watch it, I'll just like binge watch it.
Okay. And what's PKA's like topic, genre, and so forth?
PKA's topic genre is, it can be about video games, it can be like about guns, it could be about weird stuff that's happened, it can get political, but I usually skip those parts.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just doesn't interest me. So just honestly, just weird stuff that's happening. Sometimes they do PKA like adventures. They went on like a survival trip one time. The survival isn't like they went camping in the woods and didn't bring any food. and they flew a cameraman out from like England to go out into the woods, and the cameraman's just sitting in like this little tent while the rest of them just have like hammocks. And he in his tent he has like this surplus of snack food, so he doesn't have to go hunting for food.
That's funny.
Because he wasn't there to survive; he was just there to film.
Yeah.
But one of the funniest things from that little adventure series was they couldn't find any food, and then Kyle, otherwise known as FPS Russia, comes back from hunting, and they're in Georgia, but they're just in like a camping park at Georgia. I say camping, but it's more like just like a natural park, and they're just deeper in like the woods where you're not supposed to go like off trail. And he had walked so far that he had walked up onto like a different road, and there was just some random dude, and he was like, "These muffins are going out of date. Do you want them?" And he was just like, "Bro, I will absolutely take those muffins." He's like, "Just so you know, you might want to eat them fast because they're going out of date."
That's great.
And everyone thought he had like just driven away until the camera guy was just like, "No, I saw the Muffin Man as well. The Muffin Man was real."
That's wonderful.
So, what are you listening to?
So
reading,
listening,
watching, playing. Yes.
So we'll do listening to again. I'm doing a lot of more of like ambient like music. Just because again, what upcoming game is going to entail. So I'm listening to its YouTube channel called Cryo Chamber. Ever heard of that one?
I have not heard of that one.
So really, really gorgeous. Like just so they have different themes, like 1 hour of Lovecraftian horror and eldritch nightmare. So it's just you just hear there are different songs put in there. This one has done a better job where they don't always just pull from like video games. So there are songs and artists that I haven't heard before. And it makes me either just like independently find each song or find this artist to listen to more of their music. Peter Guntry, I forget his name, but he also does like music like that. Really good music. So I've been listening to a lot more of that one. So a lot instrumental and everything from like heavy church bells, just foreboding. I do take time to listen to other songs outside of that, so I'm not just stuck in a realm of of just darkness. Reading right now, I just kind of put down American Gods. I pick it back up when I just feel like reading it again. So I haven't really been reading too much of that. Of course, the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm always deep diving in it just to get inspiration or figure new things out or find new things out, I should say.
Okay. On the Dungeon Master's Guide, I would like to interject. My favorite section of every D&D book that comes out, granted it's not like a monster book, is the magic weapons. Like magic items.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, there's a magic item in the Dungeon Master's Guide that I used the way it looks the other day, but I did not use its effect. Feature? Yeah, its features and effect, and I think it's gonna throw people for like a crazy loop. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be funny. Go on.
And so playing, I'm still stuck on playing Guardian Tales. It's a really weird game. They keep introducing new like side stories, so you have like your be the strongest in the school. Again, this is supposed to be like some weird, like I would say medieval fantasy, but then they have things like cars and phones, and so it's just kind of like that weird realm of like Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, we're advanced enough to have like airplanes and nice cars and phones and guns, but you know what? Sometimes you just need to use a sword and magic. So to get the point across. So it's kind of that thing. So there's little side stories and whatnot. I decided to switch characters to the one character that took like 1 million little special points to get unlocked, and she's really good. I was sort of confused why because like I said before, she hits really hard for her level. Level 1, she's taking out level 20 plus. So I finally was like, you know what? Let me just switch over to her and just used her a bit. So there's a time dungeon. So the quicker you get done with the dungeon, the more treasure chests you get at the end. So any special attack or special ability, there's a cooldown. So there's a little countdown clock, and once it hits obviously 0, you can use their abilities. So I'm running through this little dungeon and I'm just hitting her abilities, and it's just dropping a whole room. like no one's even swinging. And so I'm finishing this whole little dungeon in under like 20 seconds because it's just destroying enemies as I'm just going along. And then there's a boss, and just I think I had to hit him like 3 times and then use a special and he's gone. I'm like, my goodness gracious, he's overpowered. Because I switched over because there was a level that I couldn't get past because the enemy just wouldn't allow it, and for some reason my main character isn't made. I don't know, for whatever reason. So switched her over and took some doing, but knocked him down. And just using this character, I'm like, my goodness gracious, she's OP. But I am not complaining because the game is really heavy. I think it tries to want you to grind and to do microtransactions, and Papa's not about microtransactions. So that's not happening.
Yeah, no, microtransactions are not good.
Like, I mean, and I'll say that because I mean, like I've seen when it comes to like Call of Duty, the microtransactions used and so forth, but I feel like, was it Fortnite, regardless of how people feel about it, I think that if it's microtransactions for aesthetics, you know what I mean, that's cool. I do agree with that, and that's wonderful. Like saying, if man, I really want this weird color gear and so forth, then as a consumer, I respect them to do it, especially if the game is free. The game is free, and there's like, this doesn't affect your abilities, doesn't affect your like percentage of winning. It's just something that's aesthetic. Then, albeit, yeah, customize as much as you want to, especially if it is a game where characters are generic. So the fact is that you can change up and make them look different and so forth is wonderful. So I'm on board with that. So optional microtransactions. But when it's just like, hey, you want to get 1,000 gold nuggets for $60, like, come on, guys, come on. But I mean, hey, I can't, that's their hustle. I can't really knock it. If that works for them and people go, yes, I do want to spend $60 on stuff that whatever makes me happy, then whatever. Just not really my monster. And so watching, especially with, again, the spooky season, there's two shows I'm watching. One is called Raised by Wolves.
Yeah. That
one is an HBO original. So fast forward in the future, somewhere I think 2143 possibly. So androids come to Earth, or no, that's not true. So something happened to Earth. Earth is basically destroyed. Humanity is an endangered species, and 2 androids are raising children on Kepler B, maybe. So Kepler, in nerdy science true to life, Kepler is supposedly it's a planet that falls within the Goldilocks zone of being inhabited. It has a planet. It's a little bit smaller than Earth, but it's supposedly there. I think it's Kepler 55b. Can't quote me on that one, but I know it's Kepler. But yeah, so in this world, Ridley Scott, the master of space and science fiction, so 2 androids land on Kepler, and they grow children and then try to raise them as their own. But at the same time, there's a faction that comes there as well. So the reason why Earth was destroyed is because there is the people they call the atheists and an army called the Soul, like worshippers of the sun. And so them going now to this place and this planet and trying to figure out what everything is. Why are these androids so dead set to raise children? there's a prophecy that seems to be coming true, and so it's not just now becoming just science fiction, but there's a possible concept of like metaphysical, which is very interesting. I love when science fiction and fantasy cross in a really good way. Really good. Acting is phenomenal. The two leads, the androids, are great. The guy from Vikings, I forget his name, played Ragnar. He's one of the antagonists. But yeah, definitely good show. There's some moments in there like, wait, what? So it's definitely a good watch. Raised by Wolves. Then the other one I'm watching is The Haunting of Bly Manor. It's a part of the trilogy with like the was it The Haunting of Hill House?
Yes. Is that came out recently on Netflix, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think it came out last week.
Correct. I think you're I think you're right. I think it's last week. And so they're kind of pulling a American Horror Story because they're using the same cast as different characters in this new series, which I for some reason I do and love. But the funny thing is, while I'm watching this the show, I'm like, this is exactly like the movie The Turning that has like, what's his name, Finn Wolfhard, whatever. So I'm like, this is almost the exact same as this movie The Turning. And I'm watching, I'm like, okay, come on, this is way too close. And then I look it up, like, okay, it's the same. It's based on the book and so forth. Think Turn the Screw, which now I'm very interested to see the difference, because the movie set up to be really good, and then at the end they pulled one of like my sins of like the commandments of like horror movies. So it's just like, ooh, that's a real bummer, because that's that's a big no. So hopefully, because it's the same like folks who did it, hopefully that comes out a little bit better. I'm hoping. So I think I'm only like 4 episodes in. Again, they love doing like the creepiness. They have the ghosts in the background. These ghosts, I will have to say, are more present. Like you can see them.
Yeah.
Like immediately go, oh wait, there's that. There are some that are just kind of hidden in the corners, or you have to kind of look. It's like, is that a shadow or a person? Wait, that's a person. Which I think is fun. I think that's my favorite type of horror.
So does it have multiple characters for like each episode?
No. So all the characters that were in. So think of all the actors that were in the show, correct?
Yeah.
Of like Haunting of Hill House. So all those actors, just basically like if you just watch American Horror Story from one season to the next. So they just took and then replaced. They swapped up their roles and their characters. So it's same actors, new roles.
So it's like watching a play that's like multi-story play kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable.
And so, but that's
like,
go ahead.
My real question was like, is each episode sort of laid out the same, where like each episode is about a different character and their experiences?
Not yet. This one seems to revolve around one character. Well, no, that's not true. No, that's not true, because it did give the reason for like the little boy's story. So yeah, it is. I'll say yes. They go into explanation of these other people that have like maybe have died off screen or so forth. So yeah, they do that one. But it's yeah, I don't know. But I was saying that I would love to somehow implement that into storytelling, because while I think that it's a problem when it comes to jump scares, like in horror movies, again, one of the sins, because I mean, I like a good jump scare if it's not easy. If they really work for it and it's a payoff, I will respect it. But I do love, even if some people don't like the movie Sinister. Oh, sorry, not Sinister, Insidious. There's a scene where there's a little ghost who has his back turned in the laundry room. It's not addressed. It's not mentioned. It's just there. The character doesn't see it, and it's the most beautiful scare. Because technically, you know what I mean? It's not really a scare, but it is, because it's creepy. And so both of these shows do that, where there are these things in the background, or the ironic thing where you can see, as in irony and in the play sense, where the audience can see or know the knowledge, but the characters don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so with that one where there's someone sneaking in the background, or there is this spectral person standing there, I would love to be able to put that into spoken form somehow. And I don't like, so like basically in that concept of like playing D&D, how would you put a scary ghost moment in it and it not be mentioned but yet be, you know what I mean? It's going to be a really weird way, because you have to have the character, you have to basically have the player have the fourth wall broken and it's meta, but you can't have the character. It's a very interesting balance. So I'm working on that one. So hopefully we'll see.
Yeah. Definitely,
but yeah.
definitely gonna watch this show. But
Yeah.
not to like interrupt you, but I do want to
Lovecraft.
talk about yes.
Yeah, that was just love the episode. Love it. Really heavy. Really heavy.
What is your favorite shot? Like,
favorite shot, if I want to pat myself on the back, it's what we were talked about earlier in there, and it actually came to be. Like I was like, oh, I think this is what will happen. As a spoiler, won't say it, but it happening in the concept, like, ha, called it. But yeah, like there's so many like parts in there where it's just like, I don't know. It was beautiful, and it was just heavy. The music was amazing, like just gorgeous music.
I think my favorite like shot was, I'm not gonna say at what point or any point, but just Letty walking through the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, I was like, yes, keep doing this. This is a good thing.
Yeah. Like those actors, man, like because we've talked about how like each episode that they'll have where it just talks about, they basically showcase one character through the whole episode.
Yeah.
And each of the characters they show, they can drive that episode well, and it doesn't feel like a filler. It just feels like more lore. But then you turn around and you put these characters in where they all have to have their moments just within one episode, and it's still just as impactful, which is crazy.
Yeah, they really storyboard the show very well.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I'm just gonna say, like, the three characters of episode 9 are, Letty, Atticus, and Atticus's dad.
Yeah.
I feel like as the story has progressed, I think the viewer sort of doesn't dislike Atticus's dad as much without giving away anything. He sort of he grows on you.
Yeah.
You start to learn the reasons why he did these things, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I think definitely he had a major role in this episode.
I agree.
Whew.
Yeah, that one. I keep saying just how it's very interesting. HBO keeps doing it where it's this, they will show something. I mean, both with Watchmen, it's very ironic that both Watchmen and Lovecraft Country touch on this same event. But it's interesting that how they're teaching people through media history.
Yeah.
And I think that's very crazy. It's wild that's how we did learn at one time, like going to the concepts of I'll always find a way to put D&D in, but the ideas of reason why D&D is fun or just movies is that storytelling. Human beings are storytellers. Like, just go back where the nights were dark and animals were dangerous and lightning and nature was a living entity. It was storytelling that kind of had us being like building bonds and sharing knowledge. And so through phenomenal storytelling Lovecraft Country is doing. I think that, yeah, like it's just bonkers, I think, of how they get things across.
Definitely. Do you think this is a good place to call it, though?
Yeah, I think this would be good. I feel the chat was pretty quiet for the most part, so I don't really mind going if there's any questions.
Yeah, the chat was fairly quiet.
Okay.
No real questions.
All right.
But
yeah.
With that, I will say we stream every Tuesday from 10:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then every other Friday we stream same time, just with a guest. And so if you enjoyed listening to us rant about nerd subjects or give some semblance of nerd, like video game news, D&D news, please hit the follow button and to make sure you can watch us when we go live. You'll be sent a notification. We will also be possibly streaming other games. Well, I know I will. Khaled here might join me for some Baldur's Gate, just sort of like chillax and play. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, hit the follow button and we'll see you on the next episode of the PiP.
Good night.